Hi guys, and welcome to my channel, Wrestling with Books, and don't panic, this is not a wake up with me vlog. This is in fact, as it says, a reading wrap up. But the thing is, it's already September 30th, and I know if I wait till I sit down to talk about all of them, it's gonna take me a while. So I thought I'd do this a bit more vlog style, kind of make my coffee, chat with you, start to talk about a book now, then maybe later in the day we'll talk about another book. Hopefully, you know, I'll be more prepared. Maybe yes, maybe no, but really what matters is that we're gonna talk about books. Alright, so I'm about to make my coffee, so I don't know if the noises are gonna be intrusive or not, but you know, we're gonna give it our best shot. So the first book I read this month, the first two actually are going to be non-fiction books, so if you prefer more of the fiction, just hang tight, they're all coming. Today, this month, September, I read over 10 books, which is not the norm for me, so it's great. But the first one I read was Overcome Your Villains by Heather Monahan. And I discovered this book because of NetGalley. I had never signed up to NetGalley before, but I said, you know what, I think I'm gonna try it. And I love business books, self-help books, etc. So I wanted to read this one. It was available right away. I didn't have to wait for it, so I went for it. And Heather Monahan, she's, you know, done a TEDx talk. She used to earn a lot of money in sales and working for someone else, and then started working for herself. So I recently just started my own business as well, and deal with a lot of things like imposter syndrome and not feeling good enough. And so when you see Heather Monahan, who has a, you know, a top ranked podcast and has done a TED talk and all this stuff, you never assume that she's dealing with these things too. But the things she spoke about, whether it was just not feeling good enough or insecurities and how she overcame them, really resonated with me, because it was like somebody was seeing inside every struggle I have as a new business owner and telling me what I am capable of and what I can achieve and how I can overcome it. You know, I don't really think about someone like her being nervous before these talks or anything, and then it just helped me realize that, you know, she's just a person like me, and if she is just a person, can achieve all this, why can't I? So I really love this book. I love that she's one of those authors that's really receptive on Instagram. So when I, you know, posted on my business account that I read her book and was, you know, left a review, she messaged back, which was so nice. So that was a great read. If you know somebody who is an entrepreneur, maybe a new entrepreneur, and specifically female, I think you should refer that book to them. It would be a great gift. You know, throw them a business shower, okay, and give them that book. They could be magnificent. The next book, which I mentioned was another kind of self-help book, is Think Like a Monk by Shetty. And I read this for a book club I'm in. Right now it's just about a half dozen of us, and we read a different self-help book together about every 6 weeks, I'd say. And someone had selected this book, and I loved it. We discussed in the book club how this book had some negative reviews because they felt that he just took information from everybody else and re-explained it, kind of. And it's like, that's what all these self-help books are, right? It's the same ideas told to people in different ways. And when you look at Shetty, he's just a young, cool, hip guy. Does that make me old calling him hip? But by getting these really old traditional self-help views from somebody young and cool, I think it would resonate really well with a different audience. And he excelled in giving clear examples. For example, he wouldn't just say, be more mindful every day. He would say, he's not a monk anymore, but he studied with the monks, and he would say every day they would take a walk, and their job each walk would be to notice something different. So now when I'm on my walks, I think about that. So we had a lot of great examples throughout it. Shetty is a popular podcast, so you could kind of get involved with that through well, but the overall message of the book is just appreciating life, finding different ways to do it. He spoke about not turning on your cell phone first thing in the morning. I don't know if it counts that I've got my camera on, but I did take that into effect some mornings where I'll keep it off and I'll just have the first 15 minutes to just start my day. Which sounds like I'm saying, oh, this is extraordinary. It's not, but it's become such a habit to wake up, check the phone, that it's nice to put that on hold and to not be at mercy to my phone and allow these messages to come through before I'm ready for them. So I definitely recommend trying that if you're looking for like a more, maybe a different way to just start your day, because it's been nice. Coffee first, text later. Alright, so next up, it's actually still not a fiction book. It was Forever Young by Hayley Mills. So Hayley Mills, okay, I know her as Miss Bliss from the first season of Saved by the Bell. I think it actually was called like Good Morning Miss Bliss when it started, but you know, now it's Saved by the Bell. And if you want to hear all about that and how she got that job and you know what that experience was like, then don't read this book. She doesn't get into it. This is all about, you know, her early career and being a child star and working with Walt Disney. Many of you know this, I'm a huge Disney fan, especially a Disney Parks fan, and there is so much Walt. There's so much about like going into Walt's office, Walt taking her and her brother to Disneyland, like a VIP tour. I mean, lots of fun Walt stuff, working with Disney, being a child star. You hear so many stories about famous actors of the time, Rex Harrison. Her father, she learns, because at first her parents decided, we can't let Hayley get into acting. This is just the one snippet I'll give you, but this is the type of stuff you get throughout the book. It's so good. Her parents had decided no, it would be too much for the whole family if Hayley was to get into acting as a child. Then all of a sudden they changed their mind, and it wasn't until decades later, as you know, an older adult, and she's looking in the Disney archives, and she found out that Walt offered her father, an actor, a role in Swiss Family Robinson in exchange for then Hayley acting in Pollyanna, and she found out that was what changed her parents' minds. So like, to me that was just like, wow, that's heavy. And you get lots of great little tidbits and stories, and she's such a good writer, even when she's sharing her diary excerpts as a kid. Such a good writer. And I mean, you get some stories of her with one of the Beatles and all these really fantastic things. So if you like film, and if you like, you know, Disneyland and the Walt era of Disney, I recommend reading this. If you like Saved by the Bell, hold out and hope for another, because I did not get Miss Bliss. Alright, the coffee is brewed. I'm gonna get my breakfast ready, so we have time for just one more book. And you know, sorry, you're looking at my mediocre apartment kitchen, but don't make fun of my breakfast. This was $1. This was at the Dollar Tree, Captain Crunch. I had to. So the next book I read was Pride and Premeditation by Tirzah Price, and I really enjoyed this book. It kind of started, this eventually became like a month of mysteries, and this was like the start of it. And this book, I do have to say, as like a disclaimer, I have not read Pride and Prejudice. You know, I'm familiar with the characters, of course, but not on a personal level. When I looked at some of the reviews after the fact, I think people who find Pride and Prejudice very precious to them perhaps did not like go nuts for this retelling. But for someone like me who, you know, doesn't have that investment, it was not an intrusion by any means. So this is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice. It's kind of in a Sherlock, was that like a Regency? I don't know. Sherlock era is what I'm calling it. And Elizabeth, or Lizzie, has a passion for law and litigation and whatnot, but she's a woman, so she can't do it. And her father has a firm, and she takes on a case in order to prove herself. And so Mr. Darcy is the person who actually has the case with his best friend, and she is the one who is trying to solve it at the same time. So that's how they kind of butt heads, and then inevitably, you know, fancy one another. So I really liked it. I liked the mystery element, and oh, yep, coffee's done. And I thought it was a fun read. I will definitely read her other Pride and Prejudice, not Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen books that come out, because she's doing other retellings based on other books. So I'm here for it. We got our Disney mug. I wasn't lying. If you love Pride and Prejudice, you may not love this. That's the impression I got from the reviews. But if you just like fun mysteries, like I like Truly Devious and things like that, it's not quite as sophisticated as Truly Devious. Don't make fun of me for calling that sophisticated. It is. It may be YA, but it's very sophisticated, okay? This isn't quite like that, but it's still good and fun and enjoyable. Yeah, it's just a fun Sherlock era. Don't quote me on that. Read. Yes, thank the captain. Gotta get some milk in that. You know, when I set this up, there was no sun. Now the sun is kind of here, there, everywhere. But I wanted to bring you along again so we could, you know, wrap things up, shall we? But we got a lot more books to talk about. I finished all the work I needed to do today, and that felt really amazing. And then I picked up my nephew for lunch on his lunch break, and now I'm getting ready to do my walk. So right now during my walk, I've been reading Three Sisters by Heather Morris, which is part of the Tattooist of Auschwitz series, so to speak, series. You know, it said number 3 of the series, but I don't think it's like a series, if that makes sense. The sun is gonna get in the way. What I'm listening to now is really neither here nor there, because sorry, this is so up close on me, but I guess that's because I have it on my wheel now. Because we're not talking about what I'm reading now, we're talking about what I read. And the next book I read was Stephanie Plum, High Five by Janet Evanovich. And I love the Stephanie Plum books. I think they're just fun and quirky, and I love that she's just like this New Jersey bounty hunter who really doesn't know what she's doing, kind of has no business being a bounty hunter. And this plot is, you know, she's investigating one of her uncles has gone missing. Like, he's old and he's gone missing, and so she's trying to solve that and figure out what happened with him. And then, as usual, there's drama with Ranger and Morelli, who are kind of like the two men in her life. Ranger is another bail bondsman. Is that plural? Bail bondsman? Bail bondsman. And Morelli is a cop who she has known, you know, since high school and elementary school. Because I come from a small Long Island town, the way she talks about her small New Jersey town is very similar. So I enjoy that a lot. If you haven't read any of the Stephanie Plum books, they are basically humorous kind of mysteries. I wouldn't call them like, they're not like traditional. I mean, they are mysteries because something always happens and she's trying to solve it. So there'll be several skips as they call them, people she's trying to bring in, you know, to her cousin's bail bonds place. But at the same time, there's always one bigger story that she's behind and trying to figure out. I started reading them in order, then I had stopped and was just getting whatever was available at the library. And then for number 5, which is where I was chronologically up to, I eventually got it when I had an Amazon gift card on Kindle. So that was why I had that. And I'll tell you about one more book before I go on my walk, and it is called Once Ghosted, Twice Shy, which is obviously referring to, you know, the saying once bitten, twice shy, but it's Once Ghosted, Twice Shy by Jessica Arden. And this is hailed as a paranormal, cozy mystery. And I really liked it. It wasn't like I don't know if I'd call it super cozy, but I liked that it takes place in New Orleans, and the character Paige works at a ghost tour shop. They do like haunted tours, and they have little kind of like souvenirs and things like that. And a bartender who she knows, you know, kind of in their main area, passes away, and then she's able to see his ghost. And it turns out that she is almost like his paranormal detective. She has been the one who is assigned to solve his murder. And so because of that, she is able to communicate with him. And I like that concept, but where it fell off for me is that she's only able to see him as a ghost, but also can see her great aunt and, 2 great aunts, I think. But her grandmother and her great aunt, but only for an hour at a time. And then her hedgehog starts talking to her, and then her ex-boyfriend comes back. So the cast of characters were too much, especially for like on the quirky end. Like I'd rather they just stuck with one ghost or just a talking pet. Like it was just too many quirky characters where I don't think it needed all that because it was good on its own. This book goes into mysteries dealing with secret societies, and if you're a fan of New Orleans, then I think you'd really like this book because she did a great job of just using that atmosphere. So for any NOLA fans out there, and if you just like breezy mysteries, it wasn't a heavy mystery, then I would recommend this read. I had gotten this one actually on NetGalley. That's the theme of this reading wrap-up, is that I discover NetGalley and then become obsessed. Hello guys, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do an entire segment with this look. Don't know. But I was sitting on the couch getting ready to do some reading, some leisurely reading. It's Saturday afternoon, just finished some chores and stuff. So before I read, let's fill you in on a little more of what I have read. Because before you know it, this is just, I mean, it's just piling up. Piles. If I rehash what I'm doing every segment, it's gonna get redundant for you, isn't it? So the next book I read, I'm just getting right into it, is Finlay. Donovan is killing it. And yes, she did kill it. It's by Elle. Cosimano. I had to check my phone to see that. And I've heard about this book a lot. I see the cover everywhere. It became available on my holds and finally said I'm gonna do it. So now this was like 1, 2, 3, the third mystery without me intentionally planning mysteries while also watching Murder, She Wrote for the first time. So it all was just so aligned and fun. So in Finlay, Donovan is killing it. Finlay Donovan is a single mother, newly divorced. She's an author, and she is supposed to have submitted a proposal and pages of a book to her editor, which she has not done. When she is meeting her editor at a Panera, trying to fill her in on everything that's going on, a woman overhears her and misreads what she's saying about the story idea she has for thinking that Finlay is a hitman, or a hit woman, if you will, hit person, and leaves her a note about who she wants killed and how much money she'll give her. And Finlay is desperate enough to be curious about this. She doesn't go in just saying, hey, yeah, I'm gonna commit murder, but she's curious. And then it's just a whole slew of events that happen after that. It was fun. It was enjoyable. Because whenever there are stories like this, I wonder, like, how is the author going to get around having somebody potentially be murdered and the audience still rooting for the lead character? And this book certainly does it. I think it was fun to read kind of in this spooky season. A good mystery, and even though I guess I do consider it a mystery because you don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, you don't with any book, but there are lots of questions that you need to get answered and wait to get answered as you read this book. So I would count it in for the mysteries. Give you one more? Should I give you one more in this? Is it gonna drive you nuts seeing my head so close? This is a quick one. After that, I read Bloom by Nicola Skinner. And this is quick because I did a reading blog on it. It's a children's book. It's a chapter book. I would read it with the kids in my life. It's about a girl named Sorrel who feels, despite the book being called bloom. There is a gloom in her life, in her family life. It's just she and her mom. She feels her mom's sadness. She feels, I guess you could say, the lack of energy and the obsession with structure in her school district, and she finds a packet of seeds that ends up changing everybody's lives. So I'll leave it at that. If you want to hear more about it, this book had beautiful illustrations and everything. You can check out my reading blog, and I'll be back.
You can believe it. I think I'm gonna finish this reading wrap up today. I think today's
the next book I read was also featured in the reading vlog that I had done about 2 weeks ago, and it was called Last Seen Alone. It is by Laura Griffin, and this was nice as an audiobook because it was, you know, it was kind of interesting. No, it had some thrills and suspense in it, but it wasn't a heavy thriller. It was kind of like a romantic suspense, I think is what it was called. And it was about a cop who is investigating a missing person, and all that is found in the missing girl's car is a card for a lawyer. And this lawyer specializes in girls who are dealing with stalkers, abuse, like nasty relationships ending awry. And the cop and the lawyer end up kind of feeling each other through this process. So you have the romance and then you have the mystery all together in this one story. So that was a really enjoyable audiobook. I'm not sure if I would have enjoyed it as much reading, but as a companion while I was walking, I really enjoyed it. I think not knowing it was romantic suspense, I was kind of thrown off because I was expecting more thrills to be the showcase of the book and not the romance. So, you know, I was expecting like a page turner, and I was like, oh, he's still talking about this lawyer, you know, just because I didn't know what I was going in for. So sometimes that can alter what you think, but it really was of no fault of the book. It was me. It's me, not you. The next book I read was called Sixpenny Holding by Margaret Scutt. And this is a time where I'm gonna blame the book and not me. I liked this book a lot. But the problem for me on this book, I got it from NetGalley, is that the cover describes it as a cozy mystery. And as I'm reading it, it was cozy AF, as people would say today, cozy AF. But there was not a mystery. It was not like a murder mystery. So I thought this was really going into my month of mysteries, and it really wasn't. It's about a woman named Marion who, after her taking care of her mother, who is now passed, and that had taken up a lot of who she was and her identity, just caring for her mother, she's now decided to move to this little cottage called Sixpenny Holding. I keep thinking it's Ireland, but I believe it's in a Dorset village. I don't know what that means, but it's in a Dorset village. And it's so cozy. Immediately you get the atmosphere. Like when I was writing my review, I kept just saying like atmospheric, because it really was. And you just feel like how she's heating her water with like the stove, and it's like so old world, and it was just absolutely charming. But what it was not was a mystery. It's just about Marion taking on this new identity. She thinks she's, you know, escaping to be alone, and that's how she'll be inspired to write. And things don't always go as planned, and she finds love in others and inspiration to write from others. And there is a mystery. Was there a murder? But there is, I don't even know if there was a murder. There is a subtle mystery, but it is not enough to warrant it a cozy murder mystery. And I think that description only hurts the book and doesn't help it. But I really enjoyed Sixpenny Holding. If you like, you know, I call it women's fiction. I guess it's just fiction, but just that feeling where the book's about her getting away at this cottage. She's not in college. She's going to a cottage to relax, and I felt like I went to a cottage to relax because that's how well it was written. And what I found out was this author, she has passed, and that this was, and she had published books, 2 books while she was alive, and this was found by her estate and now published, which is, I think, really fascinating. The next book I read, this was a book I got on Goodreads, and by now I guess you're figuring out that I really enjoy kind of like self-help books, nonfiction books. I don't know what else you would call it. So this one book I got from a Goodreads giveaway on ebook was called Ditches to Riches, and I like that. And the subtext is How to Survive Your Effed Up Life. So I'm like, all right, let's do this, by Ronald L. Worley the third, right? The second. And this was a really unique perspective, because sometimes when you're reading these success stories, they could seem so far out that you're like, how am I gonna attain this? This person is doing this and that. And really what he's done a lot of businesses, but they're all pretty attainable. You know, he's done, he was a bail bondsman, had a bail bondsman business. He had it's like a protein smoothie place business, like all these 6 different types of a real estate brokerage, all these different types of businesses. And sometimes when you have an entrepreneurial mindset, you do go from like idea to idea to idea and business to business to business. So it was great to get a perspective of that being okay. It's okay to change what you want to do, and that you still can do all these things well. Also, he did not have the makings of what you would think when you think of an entrepreneur. You know, he had an abusive upbringing and underprivileged and things like that, and he's very upfront and honest about how he overcame them. So this made a really unique perspective, and I found that he was very conversational in his advice, and it felt very like tailor-made, like as if I was talking to him and he was talking to me. So that was very nice. And that really was the last book I read this month. Guys, we're editing and we're back because I forgot a book. I forgot You May Now Kiss the Groomsman by Samantha Chase, which I had read on audiobook, and it was really enjoyable. It was, you know, I would call it chick lit. I don't know if people use that term anymore, but it was a romantic story about somebody in the wedding planning business, so I liked that. And so when I hear the title, you know, I'm already thinking I'm gonna know everything. I'm gonna know that she's gonna be interested in like somebody's friend or this or that, but no, it really surprised me how everything unfolded. I really enjoyed it. It was something, you know, since it was audiobook, it kept me company on my walks, which was fun. Buster has no opinion, but it's nice to see him here, isn't it? It was really lighthearted, but still not cliche. Lighthearted, but not cliche. I would recommend it. This was number 3 in a series, but I was fine picking up on the 3rd because it's one of those series where each book showcases on a different character and couple. Really fun, and I wanted to make sure I mentioned it. Oh my god. Sure, you know, I have one the next day, but that's October 1st, so you gotta wait till I do some October reads to find out what I thought of Tokyo Ever After. I'm gonna leave you with that cliffhanger, and I'm also gonna say, sorry, I've been so up close. It's just what I do. It's a bad habit. I know. Okay, I'm stepping back. So, also, I'm filming this. I'm probably gonna post it later today, and it's a National Kindness Day or Do a Nice Act Day. What's the official? You don't need to know the official day. But think about your books. Think about somebody maybe who could enjoy them. Maybe ask on your Facebook, your Instagram, if anybody has a classroom where they can take some books, or if anybody works at a nursing home where they can take some donated books. It's nice to put it out there and see, and hopefully it won't cost you anything but some new shelf space in your library. I know I am always looking for people who want books after I've read them, so I just thought I would put it out there that today is a great day to act on it as a Do a Nice Act Day. Unofficial title, don't fact check me. But I will be back on this channel, Wrestling with Books, with some more bookish content soon. And if you want to see the other stuff I do, you can check out my channel, Wrestling with Disney, where it's all wrestling Disney merch. Fun. but no longer books. I've saved that for you here. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you on the next video.